Let's be real for a second. There's one question every man thinks about but almost never asks out loud. Does size matter? You hear it everywhere. Late night jokes, locker room talk, social media memes, exaggerations, bragging. But behind all that noise sits a man who's quietly wondering the same thing. Am I normal? Do I measure up? What do women actually want? And here's the truth. The answer is far more comforting than you think. Stick with me, because today we're separating fact from fiction. We'll look at what science really shows about women's preferences, why the myths are so powerful, and the everyday mistakes that quietly destroy men's confidence far more than any measurement ever could. For those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Victoria Lee, a board-certified urologist with over 7 years of experience helping men over 50 protect their confidence, improve their intimacy, and restore dignity in their health. I've had hundreds of men come into my clinic carrying the same quiet fear. Doctor, I'm worried I'm not enough. And I've seen firsthand how destructive that fear can be. Not just in the bedroom, but in marriages, self-esteem, even career confidence. That's why I want to walk you through the real science today. Then I'll share the 5 biggest mistakes men make around this issue and the action steps to replace insecurity with genuine confidence. Because here's what most men don't realize. You're almost certainly already exactly where you need to be. So let's start with the myth. Bigger is always better. Movies reinforce it. Jokes reinforce it. Even some friends might reinforce it. But science tells a completely different story. Across multiple studies, when women are given the freedom to choose privately, without social pressure, without needing to impress anyone, the overwhelming preference is for average size, not extremes, not the 12-inch fantasies you see online, not the cartoonish versions from late-night comedy. Average. Why? Because sex is about comfort, connection, and pleasure, not about maximizing inches. The average erect penis is 5 to 6 inches in length and about 4.5 to 5 inches in girth. And here's the most reassuring part. Studies of best-selling adult toys show women overwhelmingly choose sizes in that exact same range. When women vote with their wallets in private, they choose reality, not fantasy. Think about that. The size you probably already have is the size most women actually prefer. You're not falling short. You've been lied to by media, exaggerations, and insecurity. And it's time to stop believing those lies. Mistake number 1, believing media myths. Look, I get it. You've seen movies, you've heard stories, you've scrolled past posts online that made you feel inadequate. But here's what you need to understand. Media doesn't reflect reality. It reflects what sells: drama, exaggeration, fantasy. Biologically, the numbers I just gave you are real. 5 to 6 inches in length, 4.5 to 5 in girth. That's the scientific average, and most men fall right into that range. Emotionally, when you compare yourself to unrealistic media, you create anxiety and shame, even though you're already right on target. You're manufacturing insecurity out of thin air. Practically, stop comparing yourself. Stop watching content that makes you feel less than. Protect your mind the same way you protect your body. Unfollow accounts that fuel comparison. Stop clicking on exaggerated stories. You already measure up. The media just wants you to think you don't. Mistake number 2, ignoring comfort and fit. Here's something most men never consider. Too much size can actually cause pain, not pleasure. The female body is designed for comfort, not extremes. Too much girth stretches uncomfortably. Excessive length hits the cervix, which for many women feels more like a punch than pleasure. Emotionally, most women value trust, safety, and closeness far more than size. They don't want sex to feel like a performance they need to endure. They want connection. They want intimacy. They want to feel safe with you. Practically, focus on pacing, communication, and positioning. Ask questions. Pay attention. Adjust based on feedback. These matter infinitely more than an extra half-inch ever could. And between you and me, the men who obsess over size are usually the ones ignoring everything else that actually matters. Mistake number 3, assuming all women want the same thing. Biologically, studies show subtle variation. Some women report mild preferences for slightly above average length, around 6.5 inches. But we're talking about subtle preferences, not deal breakers. And even those preferences vary wildly person to person. Emotionally, preferences are individual. Some care about size, others don't at all. What most women value universally? Confidence, attentiveness, communication, the ability to make them feel desired and safe. Practically, instead of asking yourself, "Am I enough?" ask your partner, "What makes you feel most comfortable and connected?" That shift alone can transform intimacy. Most men waste years worrying about the wrong question. Stop trying to meet some universal standard. Start paying attention to the actual person in front of you. That's where real satisfaction lives. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Erections depend far more on blood flow, hormones, and lifestyle than on size. Dehydration reduces blood volume. Smoking restricts circulation. Poor sleep tanks testosterone. Lack of exercise weakens cardiovascular health. All of these hurt performance, firmness, and confidence far more than measurements ever could. Emotionally, a man who invests in his health, his energy, and his presence feels attractive regardless of what a ruler says. Vitality is magnetic. Exhaustion is not. Practically, take charge of the basics. Hydrate consistently, exercise regularly, manage stress, sleep 7 to 8 hours. Women consistently rank energy and presence above physical extremes. Your body is a system. When the system runs well, everything works better, including your confidence, including your performance. Stop obsessing over the one thing you can't change and start optimizing the 100 things you can. Mistake number 5. Letting insecurity control the bedroom. Biologically, anxiety activates stress hormones. Cortisol rises, testosterone drops, blood flow decreases. The result? Softer erections, less pleasure, more frustration. You create the exact problem you're trying to avoid. Emotionally, many men enter intimacy worrying about performance instead of focusing on connection. And women sense that anxiety immediately. It breaks the moment. It kills the mood. It turns intimacy into a test instead of the shared experience. Practically, replace comparison with presence. Before intimacy, take a deep breath. Focus on your partner. Remind yourself, "I am enough." Stop asking, "How do I measure up?" Start asking, "How can I be fully present right now?" That shift, that simple mental adjustment, changes everything. Because confidence isn't about size. It's about showing up without apology and connecting without fear. So what can you do starting today? 5 things. First, stop the comparison trap. Unfollow accounts that fuel insecurity. Protect your mental space the way you'd protect your home. Second, learn the averages. 5 to 6 inches length, 4.5 to 5 inches girth. Science says you're almost certainly already within range. Third, shift focus to skills. Communication, foreplay, and trust consistently rank higher for women than size. Invest your energy there. Fourth, invest in overall health. Strong circulation, good sleep, hydration, and balanced hormones matter infinitely more than an extra inch. These are things you can actually control. Fifth, practice confidence rituals. Before intimacy, breathe deeply. Focus on your partner. Remind yourself, "I am more than enough." Look, I know this topic carries weight. Some of you have carried insecurities since your teenage years. Maybe someone made a cruel comment once. Maybe you've silently worried every time you entered a relationship. But science is on your side. You are normal. You are enough. Gentlemen, let me leave you with this. Confidence doesn't come from chasing extremes or measuring up to myths. It comes from understanding reality, taking care of your body, and showing up with presence and respect. Age is not the end of vitality. For many men, their 50s and 60s become their most confident years because they finally let go of comparison and step into connection. They stop performing and start being present, and that makes all the difference. So hold your head high. You don't need to measure up to lies. You need to measure up to yourself, and that's more than enough. I'm Dr. Victoria Lee. If this video helped you, hit subscribe for more honest, practical guidance on men's health after 50. No shame, no gimmicks, just truth. And remember, your worth is not defined by inches. It's defined by confidence, health, and the love you bring into every relationship.